Welcome to the Mediocre to Magnificent podcast. I'm your co-host, Braxton Matson, and your host, Lee A. Williams, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in because you are what makes this pure magnificence. You are the ripple effect of magnificence, and we are going to bring you a message that will give you insight, inspire you, motivate you, and challenge you to not only grow in your magnificence, but let you know that you are magnificent in everything you do. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss it. Lee,
Yes, sir.
we are here,
We're here.
present and accounted for.
Accounted for. What's been going on with you, man?
Man, we're gonna have to do an episode about our trip to New England.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to
It needs its own.
I gotta show the pictures, man. I gotta put
It
it
needs
on
its
my Instagram.
own episode.
Like, it was just amazing. We'd never been up to like Boston and Vermont, New Hampshire, man. We'd never been.
Yeah.
And we did it on the peak fall leaf colors.
That's good,
Like,
man.
But yes, that will be an episode coming up soon.
Oh, really?
It will be.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
Well, I look forward to that.
I know, man. There's a lot to it. We did a lot. There's a lot of
Yeah.
reflection on it.
Mm.
But yeah, man, this episode, what do we have for the audience?
Well, man, I was just thinking about, like, the culture is saturated with information, man. So at what point do they take the information that they're learning and it's just entertainment?
So it's like having like actual information that can be utilized
Right.
and not using it to the full potential that you can.
Yeah,
use.
or, have you heard people say, like, we got smartphones, smart cars, smart appliances, but we're,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like, we've gotten stupider. You know what I mean? Like,
It's kind of like
If
dumbed
that's
it
even-
down. Yeah,
yeah.
I get you.
but it's the thought process of us actually, like, and I'm not sitting here acting like I haven't been to a seminar or read a book, that you're reading the book and you
Right.
literally get to the end of the chapter
Mm-hmm.
and the author says, take out a pen and paper and answer these questions.
Ooh,
And you just blow past it.
yeah.
And the author is one of your mentors. Right?
Right.
And the reason why he's your mentor is because he's successful in something that you want to be successful in.
Yeah.
But you'll just blow past this
I'm gonna, y'all read it. I'll answer these questions.
to be like, okay, well, look. So I heard it said once, man, like, to not be able to say, like, okay, well, I've read 1,000 books.
Yeah.
To be like, no, I read one book and I got everything that the book had to offer.
That's a different way to look at it, man.
Isn't it?
You've taken that one, like, oh yeah, you can read 1,000 books, not get anything out of them, but
Right.
you read that one book, and it changes everything because you've applied it.
I mean, isn't it different?
It's true. Yeah, it totally is. I mean, I could sit here and think of, things and situations. I like school was one of them where, like, you're just trying to get through the class.
Not
no,
the
for real.
infamous get through.
Just get through.
Not
Let's
get
just
from
through
the
it.
not get from
And
the
it's like-
class. Not get from the book. Get through the class.
And the thing is I feel like it's a deeper meaning, because when you do that, when you're just going through it and not taking things from it, to me, it's like it's not in alignment with your purpose or who you are. So that's why you going. Like, that's probably a potential why you're going through certain things.
Yeah.
And not really like getting a deeper level into it. You know?
So why do you think, like, really, if you were, okay, well, I'm reading this book and I get to just like take a moment to reflect and write down the 4 main things that,
right,
and you just blow past it. Like, why? Like, if you had to say why that is, not in the school, you want to just get through class, because people can really respect and understand that concept. But
I think with life in general, when you put it in, like, ask that question, I feel like it's just because there's so much other stuff that we go through on a day to day that it's just straight surface level, and it's more entertainment. Like, people don't want. I feel like there's a point where, like, it's just straight entertainment. Like, it's easy. It's enjoyable.
So
but you don't want to get to the surface level of, like, okay, how do I benefit from this? How do I make myself better? How do I make my family situation better? How do I make my life better in the future and now?
Right.
But you're focused on entertainment. Oh, this is fun. This is great.
Yeah, it makes you feel
in the moment. It's great. But then 20, 50 years down the line, I mean, I hate to say it this way, you ain't done nothing.
You ain't done. You did 20 years. Like, we could do, it's 2 years.
2 years.
You're like, man.
You wasted a whole year of just not excelling or improving in anything.
Yeah. Not applying.
But then it's like, well, do people really want to face that? Or do they just keep playing that game?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one. Because I could see, even with personal development for myself.
Yeah.
There's been situations where, like, I've read the book.
I've read the book. I've discussed it.
Like, I know this
discussed it with
stuff.
my coach.
I've
taught it.
And then there's been a couple steps back on it. Yeah. That's happened.
I mean, it's gonna happen.
And that's the thing. You got to understand that, and you got to be like I relate it to more of, like, you're stuck in this situation.
Yeah.
And you're not moving forward.
I mean, could you imagine saying, okay, hey, my mentor's coming to town. I mean, he's coming to town. You know he's coming to town, so you invest to go. He gives you 6 or 7 action items to do. You've invested.
You invested this
money, time. Some people take off work,
right?
Whatever circumstances, their situation. You get all fired up. You get motivated. You're around like-minded people saying, "Oh, we want to change our lives."
Yeah.
And the man that has made it and has changed his life gives you action items. And you don't do them.
How do you...
And then it end up being, it didn't have to be, because somebody has applied the action item. But you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, man. And then you say, oh, well, man, look at, he's doing well, man. We were at the same. But on the surface, you're like, we were at the same conference.
And that's,
but you didn't do the action items.
Yeah.
This man did.
I mean, that's a reflection point right there.
Right.
Like, what happened?
I mean, if we start talking about some of the, like, Think and Grow Rich, and if you really do all the stuff in that book,
yeah,
like Think and Grow Rich,
Right.
Just, I mean, I put it out there because there's a lot of stuff in there.
A ton of stuff.
But have the readers done it to the level that the author said to?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want to be the guy because, we're coming out with a book. I said, oh, yeah, well, you don't need another personal development book. You don't need another self-help book.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to apply the one that you've got.
Right.
I mean,
Apply the one you have.
take action on what you've got. I mean, so many times have we done the podcast, okay, are they just being entertained? We say, hey, meditate.
Right.
Is there some listeners, watchers not meditate?
I mean, could be, yeah.
They just like seeing your handsome face, your smile.
Yeah.
Like hearing my voice.
It could be.
It's like, this man says this is one of the steps to magnificent living.
It's one of the 8 M's.
Have you started doing it? Or is it you're being entertained?
Right. And that's you got to get to that point where you're present with yourself on this stuff.
Right.
And you're honest with yourself.
Right. I mean, for things to change, you have to change.
Yeah, you got to change. You have to change.
Yeah. And when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, then you will change. So sometimes it's like, at what point do we say, hey, I don't want this to be me going through life, tolerating life.
Exactly.
That I have to say, like, well, my job or my work or my circumstance, my marriage, is so painful, or it's so not what I want it to be, or not what I thought it to be. So then you have some dream of, well, let me read this book that's going to help change everything.
Yeah.
And then somehow trick yourself into not doing the action item.
Mm-hmm.
So some of it is like, I'm taking it a step further, say it's not even education.
Right.
It's simply entertainment, and I'm taking it further and saying it's not even entertaining no more. It's another E. It's escapism.
Yeah. I could see that. People get away from their lives. They want to get away from their lives.
Right.
So they find things to get away from it. I feel like it's more of that's like more like you're on an island at that point. You're on an island.
You put yourself
and you're
on
not supposed. People aren't supposed to be that way. Like you need to have people around you that support you and motivate you and push you to do things and to achieve goals.
Yeah.
You gotta have that, and it's sad because I mean it is. There are situations where people are in that situation where you go down that road and it's hard. Like it's hard to make the change.
So I just want, this one don't have to be deep episode. It don't have to be long. If you read a book and you invested your money in the book, or someone believed enough in you to give you the book,
You need to apply.
and you read it and it says do X, do X.
Yeah.
Like that's the message.
Right.
Like,
I mean, there's a reason why it's a best-selling author of the New York Times.
like yeah, if you know what I mean.
You know,
if you're at that
reason.
level, like New
There's a
York Times
reason.
bestseller, and he's telling you do X, Y, Z, you're like, I think I got a better idea.
Like the man just wrote a book on it. Have you wrote a book on it? I mean, I hate to say it like that, but just apply. I don't even, like, you don't even gotta apply the full thing. Just apply. Like, I feel like if you just start applying some of the stuff in the book, you're gonna probably start doing the other things
Yeah,
in the
and
book.
that's the thing. Like sometimes we want to race to get done.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at me, I read the book. Okay, so what? The man had 12 chapters, and each chapter he had action items, and you haven't done anything. You've read the book.
Right.
If you were to have a conversation with the author, he would be like, oh, thanks for getting my book, but I wrote it to help you. And your life and your circumstance hasn't changed. Like, if I wanted you to be entertained, I would have wrote a fiction.
Yeah, and I feel like that's how society is right now. Is you want to get through it so fast, like you want to just get through it, and you don't take the time. When you have the time, you have the time.
I mean, have you heard, like, one of my mentors said, hey, read. We already said thinking Grover, so we'll just keep that one going. As like the first time I read it, highlighted it in yellow.
Right.
Like, you have to revisit this stuff.
I mean, it's like the Bible.
Yeah.
You get things completely different outlooks on things every time you reread something.
Every time.
Every time. You're going to look at it because you're in a different state. You're a different position in your life. It's going to be a different result.
Yeah. So, like, really saying, so that's a challenge to somebody. Go back. Like, if you're not where you want to be in your life and your journey, you got one of those books.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we've sold over 2 million copies, New York Times bestseller, multiple times. You know, one of those.
Yeah.
You know who you are, and you didn't do the action. You need to go back because you were just entertained.
Yeah. Don't just be entertained.
And if you know where you want your life to be, and it's not, go back. I mean, even if you you're the person that works out the seminar, you took pages and pages of notes. I know somebody like that.
Yeah.
Took pages and pages of notes.
Yeah.
You might need to go back through them notes and
I
read
need to go
them
through
notes.
them notes. Like, oh man, it's right there. Hey, what am I doing? It's right there. I wrote it down. But that's the thing. Like, you have to, and it's not being hard on yourself, because I can get like that.
Yeah.
Where like if I know I'm not doing the right thing, like it's just not.
Yeah.
It's not to my full potential.
Right.
Do not get hard on yourself. That's something that I've had to work through. I've had to learn, because it's like when you do that, you just stay there and you don't move forward. Yeah. You have to understand. Shuts you down. Yeah, it shuts you down. And it's like that can't happen. You can't allow that to happen.
Right.
Because you got to keep moving forward. Like, okay, I made a mistake. I had to step back.
Yeah.
Move forward.
And it's a process. It's growth. But I think sometimes people, like I said, I didn't want to make this episode a deep episode. No. I really don't ever, I think. But we really talk simply so people get it.
Yeah.
If you're not where you want to be, it's because you haven't took enough action. And because you're being entertained, opportunities and circumstances are passing you by. And what's the interesting part of it is you have the information. Like, I got
at your fingertips.
I got bookshelves behind me.
Like, yeah, it's actually it's right behind you.
Yeah. Like,
that's just one bookshelf, by the way.
Yeah. Got several. So it's just saying, like, okay. And I promise you, like, I'm not thinking like, oh, Lee's got it all figured out. I've been the guy that's went right past the like, he said do X, Y, like, oh yeah, next chapter.
Right.
Like, okay, well, how's that working out for you? No, literally, like, how's it working out?
How's it working out?
I still got room to grow. I still got more growth. What are you doing?
Yeah. What is it? What's the saying? If you're not growing, you're.
Yeah, like green and growing, ripe and rotten.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it applies. So yeah, so anybody that read a book, currently reading a book, been to a program, took some notes, you brought up the Bible, people reading the Bible and stuff. So the Bible's a good example to say, okay, you've been exposed to the material.
Yeah.
So now, whether you take the action or not, you're going to be held accountable because you've been exposed to the information.
Yeah. That's with everything, man.
Right.
Like you.
Hey, like, oh, I read 8 M's to Magnificent Living. And then they look at you and say, well, why aren't you living magnificently? Oh, well, when Lee said meditate, I was like, oh, that was just, I thought he was just saying that was for him. That was something he did. When Lee said, oh, meal prep and get your meals right, oh, I didn't think that applied to me. Oh, you need to move your body and stay vibrant, flexible, and agile and strong. Oh, I didn't know I had to start a routine. I thought that just applied to Lee.
It doesn't.
Oh, call a mentor. Oh, I didn't know that was for me. I thought that was just for Braxton to call a mentor, phone a mentor.
No, man.
Or go to a meetup.
That's not the case.
I didn't take that action. I just read that. I was just, I'm next chapter.
Next chapter.
You get it, though.
Yeah, I get it, man. And it's
like I didn't know that you really wanted me to. Honor your messages. Like, okay, I want you to take time to go through and write down how you want to show up to the world, and how did you want your wife to perceive you, or how do you want your kids to perceive you? How do you want to perceive yourself? Mm-hmm. Next chapter. It's like, you didn't do this. You didn't do the assignment.
Right.
You didn't do the action item. And then you wonder why you're showing up mediocre.
Right.
Interesting. It's real.
It really is, man. It's real.
And, I gave some books to some people.
Yeah.
So it's funny because the book is a New York Times bestseller.
It is.
It is written by a mentor. He happens to be a doctor.
And he's got action items at the end of each chapter.
And guess what the book's called? Title.
Oh, I know it.
You.
Yeah.
So now I'm tying in this man and his book. You owe it to yourself to get everything out of life.
Yes.
Everything out of the book. Everything out of the seminar, the workshop, the conference. Everything out of listening to this podcast. Mm-hmm. Play it back. Rewind it. You owe you. Like, what are we doing? Mm-hmm. You're not going to do the action item? But it's so great that you said what you said about not being hard on yourself.
Yes.
Because he specifically said, because I was just with him, that was then. This is now.
Yep.
You didn't do the action items then, but you're going to do them now.
Yeah.
Because you want to be magnificent. You're not going to accept mediocre.
At all.
So, yeah, that's what I felt led to, man. Like, talk about stop being entertained, especially if your life is not where you want it to be. Is there a place for entertainment? Yes.
Absolutely.
Is there a place for entertainment? Yes. But let's not confuse education, application, and entertainment. Let's not confuse it. Is there a time for entertainment? Yeah. But there's also a time for education. But then, like we said about these bookshelves,
apply.
There's a time for application. It's like, oh, you read The Richest Man
apply.
But you don't seem rich. Like,
And it's your definition of rich too. Like really, you gotta look at
I
what's
get
your definition of rich.
what's the definition?
Like, you gotta make that for yourself. But
Gotta make it
apply. You have to have the apply.
Have to apply. Like, you've been exposed.
Get something out of it.
Look,
Come on.
don't get through the day like Braxton used to.
Don't do that. Oh,
Yeah, so that's cool, man.
loved it, man.
Yes, sir.
This is a good one.
Yeah, I felt that too, man. All right, well, I know I'll never look at the
Never.
action item in the chapter of a book the same.
Nope. Not.
And that's what I wanted. I want people to be like, man,
Right.
I have time to keep reading, but I don't have time to do the action. Well, I can't go on. I gotta wait to do it.
Right. I don't care how long it takes you to do the action items
can't-
at the end of each
I
chapter.
cannot go on. I gotta
Right.
wait.
You
I just
have
gotta
to
wait.
get it done.
Gotta wait. Huh? That's what I want people to feel like.
There you go.
So that's what it is. Till next time.
All right.
This is your co-host here, Braxton Matson, and Lee and I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We hope you've enjoyed it just as much as we did making it, but we couldn't do it without you. So please hit that like button, leave us a rating, leave us a review. Let us know what topic or subject that you would like us to talk about in your journey from mediocre to magnificent. But most of all, share it. Be the ripple effect of magnificence, and know that you are magnificent in everything you do. Till next time.